You think you're informed, you follow the news, you see the headlines, you watch the clips. So, naturally, you assume you understand what's happening. But what if your understanding is built on fragments, not lies? Something more subtle, incomplete truth. Because the most powerful form of control is not false information, it's selective information. And when it comes to Muslim countries, what you're shown is rarely the full picture. You've seen the patterns, conflict, instability, crisis, different countries, same narrative. Repeated so often, it stops feeling like a perspective and starts feeling like reality. But here's the problem. Repetition does not equal truth. It creates familiarity, and familiarity feels like certainty. So you stop questioning. You stop asking, what's missing? Because what you see feels complete, but it's not. Because media doesn't just show reality, it frames it. It decides what to highlight and what to ignore. And that decision shapes everything, because attention is limited. What gets shown repeatedly becomes important. What gets ignored disappears, even if it matters. And that's exactly what happens. You see conflict, but not context. You see outcomes, but not causes. You see moments, but not history. And without context, everything looks simpler than it is, more chaotic, more one-dimensional. But reality is never that simple, because behind every headline, there are layers: political, economic, historical, decisions made years ago that shape what you're seeing today. But those layers don't fit into short clips. They don't go viral, so they're left out. And what remains is a version of reality that's easier to consume, but harder to understand. And here's where it gets deeper. It's not just about what's shown, it's about what becomes invisible, because while certain images repeat, others never appear. You don't see the normal life, the routines, the progress, the stability that exists in many places. Because normal doesn't attract attention, crisis does. And over time, your perception shifts without you realizing it. You begin to associate entire regions with instability, entire populations with struggle. Not because that's all that exists, but because that's all you've seen. And once that perception forms, it becomes hard to challenge. Because now, every new piece of information fits into that existing narrative, reinforcing it, strengthening it. And that's how incomplete understanding turns into certainty. But here's the truth most people don't consider. Media is not designed for depth. It's designed for attention. Speed, engagement, reaction, and depth requires time, nuance, patience, which means if you rely only on what's presented to you, you will always be missing something. And that gap changes how you think, how you judge, how you respond, even if you don't notice it. Because perception influences behavior, and behavior shapes reality. So now the question becomes, what do you do with this? Because the solution is not to reject everything. It's to question more, to pause before forming conclusions, to recognize that what you're seeing is a version, not the whole. Because the moment you accept that, your thinking changes. You become more aware, more careful, less reactive, and more focused on understanding instead of assuming. Because real awareness doesn't come from consuming more information. It comes from seeing its limits. So, the next time you watch something, read something, react to something, pause, ask yourself, what am I not being shown? What context is missing? What assumptions am I making? Because truth is rarely found in what's obvious. It's found in what's overlooked. And the moment you start looking there, you stop being shaped by narratives and start thinking for yourself. If this changed your perspective, subscribe, because the next video might change how you see everything.